And welcome back. It's been a while since my last video and I've been busy, I've had a lot of stuff to do, personal life, work, a lot of stuff. Now I'm back and I'm back to talk to you about my experience with a month, maybe a little bit more, with the GFX 100S, the previous model, not the brand new one that got just launched a couple of months ago, and the 22-35 f4 and the 55mm f1.7. Now I'm not gonna come up with a huge review of a camera that got launched 3-4 years ago, as well as the lenses, so that would make no sense. But what I'm gonna tell you is my experience, what I managed to do with that camera, what I think about that camera, whether that camera is still worth in 2024, despite the new model that got launched again a couple of months ago, and all of that. So it's not my typical review because it wouldn't make any sense. It's more of my experience with it, and because of that, I hope this video is going to be shorter than my usual 25-30 minutes long videos. My experience with that, with the GFX 100S, was spectacular if I think about the image quality that I got out of the camera. That sensor, the 102 megapixel sensor, gets beautiful images, full of colors, full of depth, full of sharpness. Those lenses that I had the chance to use it with were spectacular in every aspect. Whenever I used it, wherever I used it, they were super good. So from an image quality standpoint, whether it was landscape or portraits, which is the two things that I basically used it for, I got an incredible image quality out of this camera. Regardless if it was high ISO, low ISO, landscape condition, backlit conditions, everything that I could shoot at, they were spectacular. And one thing that sometimes you end up doing is lifting the shadows because you want to preserve the highlights. That's what we usually do with Fujifilm cameras. Well, in that case, what you can bring up when it comes to the shadows with this camera is simply phenomenal. Also, the autofocus with this camera and these lenses, of course, was really good. Especially now, when it comes to landscape, you don't test the autofocus that much, but when it comes to portraits, you do. Especially like in the portrait session that I was doing, everything was lit only by the guide light in the flashes, so a small LED light that would give me just a little bit of light to understand what the subject was. But for the rest, everything was super dark. And despite all of that, I got a huge hit rate success. We're talking about 90-95%. Now, of course, this wasn't the most dynamic session. Of course, it wasn't like that. I wasn't photographing children running back and forth. But the results were still, like, for that type of shooting, again, landscape and portraits, studio portraits, this camera still is a great camera nowadays. When it comes to determining whether this camera is worth an investment or not, you have to factor in a couple of things. You have to factor in size and weight, because the size and the weight of a medium format camera is definitely higher than, of course, than the APS-C. There's no comparison at all. But even when you compare it to full frame cameras, unless you're comparing it with the super flagships like the Nikon Z9 or Z8 or the new Canon R1 or the Canon R3, well, in that case, weights and size are pretty comparable. In some cases, the full-frame cameras are bigger. But with normal, even high-end full-frame cameras, the weight advantage goes to those cameras. So, especially when it comes to lenses, because when you consider the lenses ecosystem, you have much more flexibility with full frame setup or an APS-C setup, because you get fast primes, fast zooms, a lot of flexibility, third-party lenses. You get a lot of lenses to choose from, and it's hard not to find what you need. When it comes to shooting medium format, everything is much more limited. Despite Fujifilm's effort into producing more and more lenses, there's no third-party lenses, and even the lenses that you have a shorter throw and shorter focal range, and you don't get f2.8 zooms, for example. Your Holy Trinity is made of f4 zooms. You got the 20 to 35, the 32 to 64, and then you get the 100 to 200. They're all f4. Now you also get the 50 to 100, if I'm not 45 to 100. So you basically have f4 lenses. And so from a flexibility standpoint, you're leaving a lot on the table by going medium format. However, once you take that in consideration and that doesn't bother you, to me that is the most important thing, is the lenses selection, the lenses availability, lenses size and weight going to hinder my ability to do what I want to do? If the answer is no, there's no reason not to go with a medium format camera like the GFX 100S, even the previous model. And we're going to talk about price in a second. Because again, image quality is incredible. Ease of use, you're using a camera that it's basically, the layout of that camera is as easy to use as it is an X-H2S or any other camera that you can use. You may prefer Canon's layout, you may prefer Nikon's layout, Sony, whatever, but in general, the usability of the camera is not a clunky piece of metal that you lug around only on your tripod. That is not the case anymore. And again, you get an image quality that no full frame cameras, no APS-C cameras is ever going to get you. Just because that sensor is that big and it's that, like, you get 16-bit raw images. 16-bit raw images get you a huge depth of colors arrays. You get it's hard to convey in a YouTube video, but the image quality that you get out of that is incredible. On the other hand, of course, leaving behind the possibility of having two f2.8 zooms makes it not an ideal choice for a lot of people, because most photographers have their Holy Trinity, their f2.8 Holy Trinity, and they will never give that away. And if that's the case, this camera isn't for you at all. Now let's talk about the price, because this camera, despite the new model being released, it's still worth a lot of money. You're not gonna get it cheap in the used market at all. The new camera comes at $5,500 if I'm not wrong, 6,000 euros. But you still find the previous model, the one that I use, for $4,500 in the used market. That may be, in my opinion, a little bit too much. Now, it all depends on what you want to do. Because if you follow this channel, you know that I briefly tested at when they launched the new GFX 100S2. I was able to test it, and I can compare the experience of use. The new camera is much faster, is better when it comes to autofocus, is a more modern camera in all of its aspects. But at the core, the image quality is basically the same. So unless you plan on going more towards video, or unless you plan on using it for more wider type of uses, you can still think about getting the older camera, just because the core of what it is, the image quality, is going to be the same. I would personally tend to limit my purchasing decision if I can find a GFX 100, the first model, 100S, the first model, for $3,500. In that case, if I was looking for a camera like this, I would pull the trigger for sure, because it's that good. On the other hand, if I have to save $1,000, $1,500 compared to the new model, and buy the used one, buy the old one used, I would not do it. I have to save some money to make this decision makes sense because the new model is definitely better. Well, for everything but image quality, because all the rest, the image quality is again there. All the rest is a much better experience, a better grip. It's a better, I think it's a better viewfinder too. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I believe it's a better viewfinder, but in general, it feels faster. It feels more polished, and it's definitely gonna future-proof you more than getting with the previous model. But that being said, the image quality that you get out of these cameras is incredible. And the lenses too. The GFX lenses are incredible. I tested the 20-35 and the 55 1.7 for a while. These two lenses, the autofocus is not super fast, but at the presentation for the GFX 100S2, I tested the 250 f4 and the 500 f5, the brand new 500 f5.6, and in that case, the autofocus for both lenses was very, very fast. With the 500, it was incredibly fast, and this gives me a hint that Fujifilm is definitely working hard on getting GFX lenses to focus faster and to be more useful, more usable in an everyday scenario. And if that's the case, and I believe it is, investing in a GFX system may be a very good investment, because you're gonna build a set of lenses that is spectacularly good, and it's also going to focus fast with the newer cameras. I honestly hope that Fujifilm is able to, from now on, keep working the way they did with the 500 FX 5.6, because they made it super compact, super lightweight, and super fast. And if they can do that with all the other lenses that they're gonna announce for the GFX system, that is gonna make strides in the market, because if there's one thing that distinguishes medium format in what people think, is that medium format is a slower, clunkier system compared to our normal full frame or APS-C systems. If they can change that, and if they can make f2.8 zooms, which I believe they're going to be big, but if they can make them not ginormous, well, the future of the GFX system is going to be very, very, very bright. I look forward to test the new camera with the 500 and other lenses soon. I hope Fujifilm sends me those to test soon as well. By the way, thanks Fujifilm Italia for sending me these, because I was able to test them thanks to them. But I didn't have to say anything positive. I didn't even have to make a video. They just sent it for me to test. I have no obligation with them, but I wanted to tell you my experience. And again, I hope to be able to test that new camera for a longer period of time, because that gave me super positive vibes. And together with that 500, I'm eager to test it for wildlife as soon as possible. For today, I believe that's it. I don't want to go any longer than that. I thank you. If you like this video, and if you want to stay informed with me and my future plans and what I'm going to do and my new video and all of that, think about subscribing. It's always going to help me. Leave me a thumbs up if you liked it, and let me know in the comments below what do you think about the GFX system in general, and the lenses and the camera that I just kind of reviewed, but not so much. What do you think about those? Ciao, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.